This is not an AI trend session. This is not a pitch. The goal today is simple, that everyone leaves with at least one thing they can actually do differently in the next 30 to 60 days as it relates to AI, right? So I promise you that we're not going to be talking bright, shiny object. I promise you that we're not going to be talking like out here, out there, no, nowhere. I promise you that we're not going to be using language in terms that you scratch your head and have to go to AI and say, what the heck are you talking about? I promise you that you're going to have to start multitasking. Okay. And why do I promise you that? Because we as finance leaders do not need more theory. We do not need bright, shiny object. We need the word for 2026, execution that holds up under pressure. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to pull somebody in that can help us level set to do this. And so I get to introduce someone that is not a tech guy, not an AI evangelist, but somebody who actually spends his time in what I call the messy middle, where workflows break, where governance matters, where automation either sticks or quietly dies, right? And is that accurate, Gabe? So I think that he thinks about AI the way that you do as finance leaders do, as part of a broader process and an operating model problem. In many cases, I actually think his work actually reduces the need for AI by fixing the underlying workflows first. I don't know if that's accurate. So this is going to be a conversation, not a presentation, and we're going to keep it practical. So, Gabe, first, can you introduce yourself to this crew that's gathering here today?
Absolutely. That was an incredible introduction and thank you, Nick. So hey everyone, my name is Gabriel. I'm an AI specialist here in NetSuite, and I always like to talk about my trajectory here with the company because it's quite an interesting one. I started at NetSuite about a little over a year ago. I was on a part of the business development program. My background is in economics and data analytics. So I graduated from college in 2024. And my bet and all of the internships and work experiences that I had in college were all around automation and operations and building workflows. I was always the data guy building the dashboards. I was always the guy building the automations in the CRM. And when I got here, I was in the business development program and I automated my job end to end, right? From prospecting to outreach. I documented everything. Like I built the theory behind it. I called it central sales agent. And then, I presented it to our executives. I built multiple experiments with AI internally, right? From productivity tools to what our MCP server, which and I'm going to explain what MCP is. It's a tool that lets you connect NetSuite with frontier LLMs like Claude and ChatGPT. I built it back in April, right? And I presented to executives. They loved it. And then, I worked with our engineering team to turn it into a product. What today is our AI connector, right? And now it's a part of our product. Thousands of our customers utilize the AI connector to build workflows and to build, automation. So my specialty is really automation operations, thinking about workflows, data, architecture, and AI as well. So I'm really excited for this conversation. I hope you can all take at least like one practical advice, something that you can, go and do when you go back to your day.
All right, so first off, CFO Alliance members, tell me you wouldn't have loved to have hired him. Like, raise your hand, give me a wave. Like, tell me that's not like the best hiring story of like he gets this job and then like he automates it and like presents like, here's how I totally changed that job you hired me for. Right? Like, how awesome is that? First of all, now we have a no poaching rule in the CFO Alliance, so don't be like connecting with him and sending him DMs of like, how happy you at are you at Oracle NetSuite? And like, can I get your personal email address? That's not allowed, okay? because obviously they promoted him and created a new role for him. So no, no, no naughtiness here. Okay. But like that is like the dream hire there. All right. So let's get a room check here first. Greg, like, do we have that first polling question, right? Don't you think it's timely we ask that? Should we do this like room check? Like a little like level setting. Like, is anybody using embedded AI in an ERP platform or any platform right now? Is anybody using any AI? Like, yes, no. Like before, let's just get like a room check. Let's see where anybody is. Like, yes, no, unsure. Like, fill that out first. Let's get a check. All right. I just want to get a handle on where everybody is. All right. Give me like a countdown, Greg. You have a look. Give me a five, four, three, two, one. Okay, we got one on at least. Let's see if we can concur. Okay, good. So we got like a 4 out of 5, no unsure. Okay, so Gabe, you know your audience here. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All
great.
right, cool, cool. All right, Greg, you can move it now. All right. I just want to get a handle because Gabriel and I just want to know where we are. All right, let's go first with where we get stuck. And this is like not just this crew, but like most of us in finance. So let's go first. Why do so many AI pilots stall or quietly die? So let's go there. Even when the technology like looks and sounds so impressive, many of us have, tech stacks, and all of a sudden everybody's like, look, well, I've got AI here. We've already embedded it in here and the like. Or everybody's got this mandate of like, let's do a pilot, right? Or everybody's coming to them, let's try it, right? And the like. Let's start with what happens, what gets in the way.
All
Gabriel.
right, perfect. Yeah, so I think I always like to reference this report by MIT that came out early this year, and it has a really bold statement that 95% of all AI pilots fail. And it's interesting because AI is so powerful today, right? Whenever you look at on the internet, AI is passing the CPA exam, it's passing the SAT, it's passing the GMAT, right? It's solving mathematical problems that were never solved before. It's doing those incredible things and thinking at expert level, but it's not able to, I guess, push transactions in my ERP. So where's the disconnect here? And I think that in conversations and also from this report and other studies that I've seen and in conversations here internally, most of AI pilots fail not because of the technology itself. The technology is there, the technology exists, and it's powerful enough to handle business use cases. But it fails mainly because of people and processes and data. We need to think about AI as a part of the bigger picture, right? Not just AI in a silo is not going to do much. It's a black box. It's an engine. And I like an analogy that I like is like it's like the human body, right? You have your heart, you have your brain, you have all the other organs that are interconnected to make you who you are. And AI is just the same, right? Maybe it's the brain, maybe it's the heart, but you also have to think about data structure. You have to think about automation. You have to think about data architecture. You have to think about your workflows, your processes, about people. So I think that most of the times these pilots fail because of failure to understand AI as a part of the bigger picture and bring all of these other processes and components into consideration when you're building AI.
So let's use your case. So you get hired, you step into this role. Was it apparent to you in the beginning that things could have been done better? Like you step in, like what was the genesis for you to be like, I can do things differently, or we can do things differently, or we can do things better, faster, smarter? Like, talk to me a little bit about like how how do you start this whole thing, right? I mean, that's the big issue that I get most frequently asked is like, how do you start this in quotes?
Yeah, I think it's mainly like you understanding that there's there may be issues in how you do things. Like for me, when I was automating my sales role, I realized that there was a lot of manual inputting, manual tasks that I needed to do that didn't seem like it was adding value to the workflow or adding value to my job in general, but that could be easily automated if I could, build something around it. Right. So I understood how the data was structured. I understood how, the process worked. And then AI was just this extra component that I put into the process to sort of help me navigate it. But I think it always comes from understanding the problem, understanding what AI can and cannot do. And I think this is really important too. And we're probably going to get into that throughout the conversation. And then, setting expectations and building it.
Okay. So let's look at the next one. What's the first real mistake finance teams make when they say they're starting with AI?
I think a big mistake is thinking that AI is going to solve all of your problems. Right? As I said, it's part of a bigger picture. AI is not going to solve all of your problems. Again, there are multiple products out there, very gimmicky, flashy products, AI native, solutions that you hear every time. Like AI has made it very easy for you to build software, for you to build things, for you to build an HTML page. And it has made it very easy for people to start companies and start selling products that are unbaked, right? And I think a lot of I think that the instinct a lot of the times is to just go with whatever is presented, whatever looks good. But I do think that starting with the foundation is really important. It makes a lot of difference, especially because a lot of these tools, as models get better, they're not going to get better. They're going to be obliterated by companies like OpenAI and Anthropic that are building and embedding these features directly into their capabilities, right? And then the companies that own the proprietary data and like the ERP and stuff like that. So, I think that starting with AI, a big mistake is typically around setting the expectations and also understanding the tools that you have available to you.
Hey, Gabriel, let's dive into that foundation a little bit more. You started off that statement by saying building AI is easy. Maybe for you, but I could see a lot of eye rolls maybe on on this call. So really think about the foundation and from a finance perspective, what that foundation is that they need to be considering first before they can actually tackle that and start to understand it. I think that's where a lot of our members get stuck or paralyzed is it's not easy for them because they don't have the mindset that you have, or they don't have a engineering mindset to build that too. But they've got this data and they might have a data issue first.
Yeah, totally. So, and I think, today with, for example, you go to Gemini and you ask it to build a page, it's going to do that, and it's incredible. I think that from a data foundation, um, like a lot of these ERPs, for example, in NetSuite, we're going to have all these capabilities embedded in the platform, and we're going to have to advise our customers on how to sort of clean their data and make sure that the data is structured, the data is in place, there's no silos in the data. AI, it runs on data, right? So you have to be able to make sure you're able to clean it and it's going to run and be effective. So I think it's mostly around making sure that your data is in place, making sure that your processes are in place, um, and 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 then having AI run on top of it.
So the whole idea of process transformation to me makes me want to throw up in my mouth. I'm just going to say it, because for me it is sounds like consulting speak. It sounds very expensive. It sounds very time consuming. And in an environment in 2025 that's been extremely volatile, extremely challenging, we have lack of stakeholder alignment in 90% of the organizations that and enterprises that our finance leaders are operating in. They would say there's been at many times lack of stakeholder alignment. the idea of like, okay, we have to now address this in order to be able to say that we can embrace and utilize technology to make us more efficient and effective. It sounds like a really heavy lift, right? So how do you make this digestible? And how does that sound at all like something that can be accomplished? When I have no more time, I have talent that is revolting, and I have some, like I heard yesterday in Philadelphia, that say, if you do this, I will quit if you change my job. And I have other talent that says, if you don't change my job, I'll quit. Right? We heard both.
Yeah.
Um, so, and just throw all these factors at it. To me, it sounds like that's why I find myself just almost like watching it like a tennis match playing out in front of me.
Perfect. Yeah. So I
And
think
that's
there are
why we're
two.
here today.
Yes, yes, exactly. So I think there are two pieces to this, right? I think that the number one is how you approach this sort of AI transformation. I think that a lot of our customers that have been successful running AI in their operations, they have built a sort of AI transformation program where they're thinking about these problems. They're rewarding people that are adopting AI. They are, giving responsibility and opportunities for people that want to run around with the AI transformation inside of the company. And we can talk about components of that and some of the skills that I think are required to run a specific program like that. But I think that for you to run AI in your company in different departments and in different, processes and sort of map out all of the problems that you wanna automate, you need to start from the very, company foundation, making sure
Right.
that people are
So
aligned.
Gabriel, there, you and I talked about this. I think one of the biggest challenges is identifying concrete example of starter use cases that have worked for peers. That would be huge. I think that's our biggest issue is what about me? I hear others saying, oh, this was my use case. Oh, this is my use case. And I hear, can you capture these use cases for me? And then I get them in hand, and these use cases seem totally unapplicable to my organization, my environment, my culture, my team, my situation, my world, my time constraint, my capital constraint and the like and then I said and then if I say that I sound lazy or I sound incompetent or I sound ancient or all the above. And I'm none of that. At least I
Yeah,
think I'm none of that.
yeah. So what was it? What was the initial point again? I had a
Help me find concrete. How do I define a concrete example or starter use case that may work for
yes.
me?
Yeah, so we developed a framework internally that it's a multi-step process, right? So you
Okay.
first think about, the business function that you're tackling in this specific example. So let's say you have in your finance department, you have AP, AR, accounting, etc., right? Or an operational role. And then within this specific business function, you think about all the activities that they perform. So for example, let's say in AR, you're gonna do dunnings, you're gonna do, collections, you're gonna there are lots of activities that you do inside of this role. And then you think about the process, right? So what does the process look like? For Dunning, for example, and I have examples that I could show and share my screen. We have
That would be
we
awesome.
could yeah we think about what does the Dunning process look like? So there's a data that comes in, right? And this data is like overdue invoices, right? And then what's the end of the process? The end of the process, we're going to remind the customer that they didn't pay their bill, right? And then you lay out the data process of the Dunning workflow, and then you think about how does AI come into play for me to be able to automate this task, or to augment the work of my team. So we can think about building a workflow. We can think about building a dashboard. We can think about different ways of automating this particular task. But I think it comes from a sort of system thinking approach And that's why I said that, having an AI transformation program where you can brainstorm with your team and get everybody aligned is so important because every business is going to have a different way of tackling AI. It's going to have different processes, right? So I think it comes from think about the business function, think about the activities you perform, think about the workflows, how you typically do it today, and how you think that AI could come into play using your existing tools or using extra tools if you need to be able to run effectively. So this is like when we talk about data foundation and data structure and all these things, this is what we mean in terms of, being successful with this.
Okay, so give me let's start with that basic. Let's pick a starter use case. Okay. And let's have you walk us through and share your screen so we can start with the beginning because that's where we are.
All right, perfect. So there's a use case that I always love to show internally, which is
That would be best because then we can talk about how, and then we can get into barriers to what would get in the way because that'll get us into the issues around process and people around adoption. Then we can talk about trust and explainability, and then we can talk about internal education, and that will give us just the beginnings. Okay.
all
And
right.
then maybe
So
we can bridge that gap that Mitch calls that you may be years ahead of us. I don't think he is if we go back in time.
yeah, absolutely. So this is sort of my internal board that, I run meetings here internally and we talk about agents and the definition of things. And we brainstorm about some of it. And I think this is a really good example of what I was just talking about, right? Thinking
Okay,
about the
good.
business
I
function
like this.
and then the activities within this particular business function and the tasks that you perform. And then within those tasks, you can think about the agents that you can build to automate these tasks, right?
Awesome.
I think this is sort of a good framework that we've been utilizing internally and in presentations and conversations with customers.
Okay. So we got our business functions there. We got accounting, procurement, sales, operations, AP, and AR. Got it.
Yeah, and I think there's a piece of the puzzle that we're missing here, which is like data mapping. Right? So for, collections, for example, I need to think about where my data is coming from, how my data is structured, right? How I do this in the user interface today, and then think about how an AI would do it, conversely. So this is sort of the workflow that we've been using to collect use cases. Like internally, we've collected over 200 use cases of AI um, with our AI connector, and incredible things. So. The sky's really the limit if you're able to sort of think about it from that structured way.
All right. So talk us through this here.
So I can show you an example of the Dunning agent and something that I've built internally. So we're using NetSuite data, right? And this is Claude. We're using the AI connector. And I think I explained it. It's this tool that lets you connect an LLM like ChatGPT with your NetSuite data. So it's going to retrieve data from NetSuite via API call. Right. So I'm asking here to build a Dunning collections agent, right? And you can see here it's pulling all the data from my saved searches, pulling all the data from my reports. And now it's building me this dashboard using my NetSuite data that I can analyze it. And I can, sort of identify customers that are, missing the payment. Um, this is an example of using AI to augment a workflow that typically might take a lot of time for you to do it manually in the user interface. Um, and we can take it to a step further, right? This is when we talk about AI pilots failing, a lot of the times it's because they're not embedded in your workflows, right? So how do we take this, which is a static page, right, and embed it into my workflows? And there's something that we can do now, and I'm using N8N, which is an agentic workflow builder. A lot of these things are going to be automated directly inside of NetSuite with our agentic workflow builder and NetSuite Next. But today I can use the AI connector to build similar behavior and automate this as part of my workflows. So this is also a Dunning agent where it's pulling data from my reports, and then it also has a beautiful page where it's a little bit more interactive, right? I can actually send emails to those customers that are missing payments, right? If I hit send, you can see that the email was successfully sent. You can see here under executions that it succeeded, December 17th in sending the email, right? And I can make this as a part of my entire company workflow. Whenever an email, like whenever an overdue invoice hits the report, it's going to automatically send these emails to customers, right? So thinking about the workflow, about the use case, the business function, use case, the data, and how to make this a persistent process in my business. I think that's what will really drive economic value out of these systems.
So I
This
have
is
two
great.
questions,
Yeah.
Gabriel. So the before was how many steps, and the after is now what?
So before it is a static dashboard, right? I have to prompt Claude or ChatGPT every time I want to get this behavior, right? And therefore it's not efficient. You're probably going to get different results, different formatting every time you ask it to do it, right? But if I have a persistent workflow that runs every time, this is what we call like a good systems thinking and a good approach to making
All right, so
AI.
you got two questions here in the chat. Let me start with Janet's first and then ask ours. Janet's question was, would you go back and explain what ChatGPT actually did with the AR details? It's just hard to see on the screen. And once you get the right side, what happens next by my team member?
This one, right, with Claude. So it's pulling data from my NetSuite account, right? And then it's listing all the safe searches, analyzing, um, it's listing all reports, and here it's running the AR aging report, and now it's identifying, that I have, customers that have, overdue invoices. And now the LLM is building an HTML page. You can see here in the backend, it's an HTML page that these information is actually hard coded in the system, right? It's hard coded in the page, right? So it's not dynamic. And that's why we can take it to the next level here. Um, so now it's displaying all of this data that it pulled from my NetSuite account. But it works upon request, right? I have to prompt it every time I need this dashboard to be built. If I want to make this persistent, I need to make this a part of my workflow, a part of my processes, a part of my operations, right? And that's why we take it to the next level with agents. Everybody talks about agents, right? And this is how, and this is, oops. And this is what you do when you're building agents, right? You build workflows that are persistent. You're using less AI here, actually, for a good reason. Um, and that's how you're able to run these repeatable outputs.
The second, does that answer it? Okay. The second question was, could you comment how you safeguard confidentiality when you link your financial data in NetSuite to Claude?
Confidentiality. So we've built the system around, the guardrails of the ERP, right? So users are not able to pull data from reports that they don't have access to. So this is a role-based, permission-based technology. As far as I know, a lot of our customers ask, what if these models are being trained on my data, right? And we do recommend that they build you can have an enterprise agreement with Claude and with ChatGPT, right, where you can have control over how your data is consumed and disposed of. So this is what we typically recommend. We understand a lot of our customers have contract with Gemini, with ChatGPT, with Microsoft Copilot, with some of these from frontier LLMs. And these enterprise agreements, they let you have more control over how the data is being utilized.
Let's go back to explainability. Chris, can I ask you to come off mute for a second? Chris Laffner.
Yes.
Chris, I'm going to ask you to come off mute. Mitch gave Gabriel a very strong compliment that Gabriel is super smart and he's just 3 years ahead of the rest of us. And he got two thumbs up. He probably has 30 thumbs up there. Okay. And Chris, you live in this world, 35 thumbs up, I should say, probably. Um, he probably get 10,000 thumbs up if I let him loose in the community. Um,
Yeah.
so Chris, you live this. This is like the aspiration of probably all of our members, right? And then they're going to struggle with, but how do I? And then you're brought in to okay, I want that, but I don't have Gabriel. And I could probably bring in because an ERP or a system like NetSuite because they're built for the mid-market, right? So I get it. I could implement a technology and then you got to stand it up for me. But then what? How do I get there? I don't have 3 years, or I have to wait 3 years, or I still don't know how to get there. What do you suggest and recommend? I understand the approach and the methodology. I understand what Gabriel's saying, but I still struggle with how I get there. And you're usually someone on the peripheral, Chris, right? So what do you do if you're
Yeah.
them?
So something that we've been offering a health check for quite some time here at Equify, but we've incorporated recently an AI readiness portion of that, where we're sitting down with business process owners and end users to understand their processes as a part of the health check, and then identifying those areas that could be automated or, just more efficient with the help of AI. We have pretty much all of our consultants within our demo environments and our environment playing with the MCP connector and Claude daily. And again, as just a part of our end-to-end assessment of any given environment, we're saying, how does your data look? That is foundational to everything, right? If you have bad data in there, it's not going to do you any good because
That's
you're going
kind
to
of
be
what
flowing.
Mitch was saying in the chat too. Finance needs
Yeah.
to start playing with it and become proficient with it before trying to implement it from an ERP perspective, right? If you
Yeah.
look at yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that is where, I think it's just going to continue to evolve. Anytime that one of us identifies a strong use case that's valuable, we're putting it into our team chat. We're saying, who else would this be applicable to? Like, this dunning process is incredible. We have so many clients that are running on this that could be using this and be more efficient with it. So it's one of those things that's a little bit malleable and it's kind of growing, but that's where we start is, okay, let's get a full understanding of your processes. Let's get an understanding of your data. And then it's enablement, right? It's showing users and managers and directors how they can leverage these tools to be more efficient and to drive value across the organization.
Yeah. Gabriel, Mitch's
Yes.
comment there about prompt engineering, and even that goes to my question around anything you can share on making AI outputs audit ready or demonstrating governance that would resonate too. Do you have some comments there?
On prompt engineering.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love the question. Like I do a lot of like internal like enablement on prompt engineering. So I think there are different types of prompt engineering, right? When we're talking about building these workflows, we're talking about building prompts that are going to call tools, right? So for example, with the AI connector, and I don't think it's connected right now. But it has different tools that I can access, and I need to make sure that in my prompt, I'm giving in specific instructions to call these tools and to call the specific report ID and to do all of these things. So I have another example that I don't have pulled out right now, but I can go ahead and pull it
Okay, go
where
ahead.
I have a very specific, there's something that we call projects in Claude, right? So these are, dedicated workspaces where I can give it very specific instructions on how to do a particular job, and it's going to be repeatable, right? So in this example, I have a really good one that's a NetSuite Health Check, right? So it's pulling data from my NetSuite instance, right? And let me show you the prompt first because the prompt is actually it's huge. And it takes a lot of time to actually build this. So you can see this long prompt, right? I'm giving it specific instructions. I'm telling you. So I did this once and I used this specific as a Suite QL query. I want to use the same Suite QL query when you run it again, right? So I'm giving you the specific instructions. I'm telling you how I want the output to be formatted, right? So I wanted a category two, category three, etc. Right? So this is a long prompt. It has hundreds of lines. Um,
Wow.
and and then when you see the actual output, it's incredible what it does. So here I have my NetSuite health checkup, right? So I have category one, it's running all of, a data quality audit, right? So it's running SuiteQL queries that I have tested that work, and that's going to give me those consistent results. So the number one, I can see that I have, vendors with no transactions. So I probably should be looking into this. So when we talk about data quality, like you could have AI help you. clean your data, right? So this is an example. I have, hundreds of tens of vendors that have no transactions in their account. And it's also telling me exactly how to look for those vendors in the ERP. So this is a good system prompting, right? Because I'm not only asking it to do it for me, but I'm also asking it to tell me how to do it if I were to do it myself. Um, and then it recommended actions. I have contacts with information gaps, so missing emails, missing phone number. I have, transactions that are missing, coding department and department coding and all of those different things. So this is a very long health check for my NetSuite instance. As you can see, it's very long. Um, but this took me hours to actually build a prompt that actually works consistently to give me this type of output. So I think that prompt engineering, it's similar to what we talked about. It's you have to understand your data, you have to understand what you want to do. You have to understand the tools that you have at your disposal. So I know I have SweetQL, I know I have, run reports. I know I can list safe searches. What are the safe searches that I want to pull data from? Right? What are the reports that I want to pull data from to get this sort of output? So it takes time. You're not going to give it like a simple prompt and it's going to work like magic. You need to iterate and work with the system to get something that works. And then when it works, you put it in a separate page, and then you make like a big prompt with all the things that work that that consistently work, so that you can run it every time. So this is sort of the approach that I take when I'm building prompts. And I've built lots of prompts just like this, master prompts that do multiple things that are big.
That probably answers the question of can you instruct an AI agent to run reports in NetSuite? Example, pulling a list of all outstanding invoices or creating AR aging report. The answer is yes.
Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
that with the Dunning agent that I showed. You can do that with Claude. You can do that in a more, this is a little bit more technical to build because you're actually looking at these nodes and there are multiple steps, but you can do that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let me go to, I think there were some more questions here I want to ask. Um, let me see. You want to stick, hold on, I want to go back to, I want to make sure I hit on a couple more things here. Hold on. Is there anything else you want to show them on this, or do you want me to go back to what I was
Oh,
on
we
the?
can, yeah, we can go back. I think that's what I wanted to show as far as
Okay.
like the processes and the use cases that I've built.
Okay. All right. Questions so far? No, this is a lot. We good? Okay. All right. Greg, you want to give me my deck back here? Okay. Now let's get back to the people side. Woo. How would you rate your finance organization the current ability, the word is ability, to adopt and use? Let's look at the people side to it because I have some questions for you because we're like dissecting you now, Gabriel, as a person because we're thinking about our people as we head into 26. And even if you're a team of one, think about yourself too. Okay. All right. You got to complete this because I don't know what the bottom part of that question was there too. Current ability to adopt and use AI. Give me a countdown, Greg. And that's the collective team, right, Greg? All right, give me that. Struggling and not capable. Okay, so Gabe, I want to ask you, okay. You're adding to you plus one, okay? Because I'm not going to ask you to talk about yourself. You plus one. They say to you, Gabe, we need more of you. Okay. Um, what are you looking for? What should they be looking for? Both technical skills and soft skills. We need to build this out. Or if they are upskilling and investing in upskilling themselves and their teams, what should we be looking for in terms of skill capability, skill development? if we're going to be taking the next steps in advancing efforts to embrace, AI and technology and advancements in this effort. And we need people that are going to help us in this effort beyond bringing in outside assistance.
Yeah, I think you definitely don't need some of the AI talent like that are getting like the billion-dollar salaries, right? I think
Yeah,
we've seen like you don't need a machine learning engineer. This is overkill, right?
yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, you really need somebody who is very operational, who understands about your data architecture, your data structure, who understand the operations of your business, who understands your customer needs. Um,
Where are
somebody
they
who
sitting right now, though? You were sitting where again before they found you?
I was on the sales program.
Prior to that, where were you?
Oh, prior to that, I was building automation in CRM and things like that in my internships.
Okay.
Um, so I think that the automation sort of skills is really important when you're thinking about AI. And I think that typically th those people might be already in your company, right? Sometimes bringing external talent, um, I think it's easier to upskill somebody who already understands your business and your structure and your processes than to bring somebody else and teach them about your processes, right? So a lot of the times these people are already in your company. As long as you can upskill them and teach them about AI and sort of make sure they have high quality training, which I think is really important in education, is really important. Um, I think that would be the way to go.
Okay, so if we're
Yeah.
looking on the outside, if were sitting in a seat and had educational background and what, a title in another role somewhere, what do they, what would they typically carry the title or an educational background in? I'm just curious.
It could be more of an operational role, a data architecture, um, architect. Um, I would say more of operational roles that have a proven record of building successful automations and workflows. And I think that AI is again, it's just another component of the node. Like when you look at that workflow that I built there, AI is just one piece, right? You have to think about everything else. So I think if you already have somebody who's good at building automations, I think everything else is going to be easy with AI. That's probably the skill that I would look for if I was to hire somebody to automate processes in my company.
We had another question there from Janet. You mentioned quote connectors. Is that the plug that connects the ERP to something like ChatGPT or Copilot? Is that the definition?
Yeah, so the AI connector is like this data transfer layer between NetSuite and ChatGPT and Claude. Yes.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about governance now, which is why we've been talking about finance being involved and the risk side of the equation. Well, what governance is essential early and what governance is just noise?
I think well first of all I like to just first, set expectations on what I can and cannot do. I think that like in the past, um, you had let's say like with the cloud with the cloud transformation, right? Where, all of a sudden, in the internet coming out in like 25 to 20 years ago, we had now all of a sudden, digital banking. And now why would people trust digital banking, right? And why would I trust e-commerce when I can actually go to the brick and mortar store to buy whatever I need to buy? So I do think that the transformation is coming. We do need to build sort of the governance and the understanding around the technology and how it works and the observability and all of these things. I think most of the times the governance is going to be in the systems that you're utilizing. Like for example, in NetSuite, we build Like when you post a transaction with AI, like you can do that with the AI connections today. I can say, hey, go ahead and create an accrual journey or create a sales order for me. It's going to go ahead and do that, like just using natural language. But when I go back to my ERP, I can see that this transaction was created by an MCP tool, right, which is the AI connector, and it was created by the human in the loop, who is Gabriel, right? So I think when I think about governance, when I think about the auditability, being able to trust these systems, I think about the foundation of the system that I'm using AI with first, rather than the AI itself, right? So my ERP already has that foundation. We're building it within the system, and that's how you're able to verify that this data was created by AI. That's how you're able to verify the output of the system. So this is sort of how I think about the structure. I think you're muted, Nick.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, I can hear you now.
The reason why I ask is you got three questions around connector, and that's why I was asking as well. You had a question really nice to see how the connectors are built in real time. As an example, are there commercial connectors that we should be looking? Is there a connector already integrated with NetSuite? Wouldn't that be the thing that makes the most sense? This is where I have questions around that too. And you have three members that did, and then I also see that Ashkar has a hand up too.
Yeah, so around the connections, so it'd be nice to hear how the connections are built in real time, as an example.
Are there
Yes, I
commercial?
can. If you
Go
want
ahead.
to, if you want me to do a live demo, I can definitely do that, of the connector. As far as commercial connectors, we have our out-of-the-box connector, right? And if you're not a NetSuite user, um, I think you have to see with your current ERP, what they have available as far as MCP. I think I'm not sure if we have other competitors who are utilizing the same technology. Um, but I know that today it's quite you could build your own connector too. Like if you have the technical expertise to do that. You probably don't want to because it's hard. But yes, and then is the connector already integrated with NetSuite? Yes, it's an out of the box connector. It's like it's part of the standard NetSuite experience. Um, so it is integrated and it utilizes your data, yes.
And then while you're getting that ready, Ashkar, do you have a question?
Yeah,
No.
mine might be a quick one, Gabe. So the use case that you flashed, the business health diagnostic, right? Was essentially pulling in a lot of data from different sources. Is Claude doing something different from what a Power BI or a Tableau would be doing just in terms of getting a dashboard? Where's the AI component in the use case you showed?
I think the AI component here is like you could do that with a business intelligence tool. A lot of the AI component that we utilize is having AI explain your data for you, right? Because with a Tableau, with an Excel, like a dashboard, you have your data displayed, but you don't have explainability on your data, right? And I think that's a big difference, when it comes to using, the power intelligence tools and a tool like Claude, right? It's not only pulling the data and displaying the data and building the dashboard, but it's also explaining,
Got
and
it.
giving you instructions on how to utilize it and what to do next. A lot of our customers use the AI connector, especially for financial reporting, because it takes time, right? So you can have the AI connector, for example, pull data from your income statement, and then it's going to identify a specific anomaly in your income statement. And now it's going to drill down into the underlying, records and transactions to explain that anomaly to you so that you can take action on this, right? So that's where AI comes into play and makes a big difference in sort of these processes.
Got it. Thank you. I just didn't see that. So it does have commentary and analysis, which in Power BI and Tableau won't have. Got it. Thank you.
Greg, is this a polling question? I don't see it set up that way. Is it? Are you running it?
Yes, it is a polling question.
Oh, okay.
We have 5 minutes
There
left,
it is.
so I want to
Oh,
get this
okay.
last
All
one in.
right. All right, go ahead. I see it now. Want to run that? Who do you think should actually own the AI-driven transformation inside the company? And then do you want to, and then since we have that 5 minutes, can we do that demo quick, Gabriel?
Yeah, let's do a demo of MCP and the AI connector. Yes.
All right, cool.
Um, all right, give me just a second to pull up
All
the
right.
video.
Sounds like we're going to leave everybody wanting more too, which is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
And is MCP an acronym for something? What's MCP stand for?
It stands for Model Context Protocol. It's the AI framework
Okay.
it's like the language that the LLM speaks.
Okay.
And that's also the language that NetSuite now speaks when we adopt the technology, right? So then the
Okay.
LLM and then ERP are speaking the same language.
Look at that. More than a third say we should be, our community should be, as individuals and collectively. Not surprised. We're going there. There's a lot of reasons, and there's a coalition forming within the CFO Alliance. So if you're the ones that push that button, get in touch with me because there's an effort to organize our thoughts as to why and potentially elevate that voice with some reason behind it. So if you're interested, hit me up with an email or a message, okay? We're going to be organizing that voice in 26. All right, let's go. Let's see that demo quickly.
All right, so let me go ahead and do it. Give me a second.
All right.
Just pulling the prompt. All right, so when I go back here. So this is, hopefully you can see this. But this is Claude, right? And I
Yeah.
introduced the concept of projects, right? I can give it in this project, I'm giving it instructions on how I want the output of my reporting to be formatted, right? So I want an executive summary. I want the key financial metrics to be formatted in this particular way. I want a margin analysis, profitability, et cetera. And then I want to add narrative insights on this data, right? And I'm going to give it a basic prompt because, typically it takes time to actually build a Dunning agent. Like it takes long for the LM to process. So I like to use the financial analysis agent when I want something that's a little quicker, right? So you can see here. And by the way, I just think that I'm not connected to the connector. Just let me make sure I have that in place first. It's actually connected. Okay. So now it's running, right? Okay, let me run this again. And if it doesn't work, because I think I was not connected to it in the first place. But I can show you how this step-by-step processes with the LLM to get this information, right? So you can see here it's running a report. Yes, I have to authenticate it again. It's gonna take more time than I think we have.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I go here to my previous interact iterations with the LLM, and let's do probably this one where where is it? right? So again, I'm giving it like I want an income statement analysis for November of 2025, and now it's gonna run the report and it's pulling the data, structured data, and it's gonna build a report to the way that I specified in the instructions. I also have hyperlinks to the underlying, report that I can open in NetSuite, right? But I already have it open here, which is one of the things when we talk about observability, verifiability. This is what we talk about, right? Being able to drill
Right.
down to the transaction, to the report. Um, and then it has all the, the narrative insight on the data, the operational efficiency. This is what the next steps that I should take with my board members. And I think that what we care about the most is also being able to have accurate data, right? So when I go here and I was using the parent consolidated version and I refresh here and we compare the data from the report, we see here revenue, right? So 4613. And when I go to my NetSuite account, revenue 4613, 123, right? Net income 1787. When we go to our net income, 1787, right? So this is really important. We care a lot about this, and that's what we always show is that we're building with the guardrails. We're building to make sure that we're injecting data directly from reports. The LLM is not hallucinating, creating data from out of nowhere. Um, and that's one of the things that we talk about when we think about security and the trustworthiness of the system.
Excellent. Well, I know we're up on time, and I want to go back to the fact that this was a lot in a short period of time. We kind of bounced around a bit, which is kind of where we are. And this may seem 3 years ahead, but the couple of pieces of good news. This just means Gabe's is making the mistakes for us and maybe saving the shortcuts for us too. And that's the cool thing. And maybe time travel is allowed. Maybe he'll catch us up. Um, that's the whole point of these. Uh, Maybe also we can, he's on beta, we're on alpha, so that too. And then we could do more of this too. What's the best way, Gabriel, for people to connect with you and not to poach you, but to get in touch with you?
Yeah, we can. LinkedIn is a great
All
way.
right.
I can put my email here in the chat if you
Yeah,
have
I
any
mean, look, I
questions.
think the key piece is people are starting these journeys in different places, from understanding even definitionally what these mean to even understanding how to pilot and try and start to learn what prompts are. People are going to want to experiment, and that's why we have this partnership too, right? Which is to make people available and make this useful, and so that we can take this step to step and skip to the useful parts. So I thank you for making yourself available and at least just putting this out on display, and thankful to the NetSuite team and the rest of the CFO Alliance team for setting this up. And I'm thankful to everybody joining us today. And this is our safe place. So I appreciate everybody asking just questions too. Um, we don't want you to fight the robots. We just want you to help us with the bugs too, because there are a lot of bugs and we're all kind of playing with them too. Um, and we want you to run the experiments with and for us, Gabriel. That's what this is all about. So, um, more to follow. I'm feeling a little bit better. That's all I want is a baby
That's
step.
great.
And I hope you are too.
No, I'm
Uh,
really happy.
yeah.
And I'm happy to be a resource to the CFO Alliance community. Like we can definitely host more events and maybe do a working session together. But this was good. I
Yeah, I
hope you
think
got
that's
some
what we
value
should
out of it.
do. I think we should start doing some working sessions instead of webinars. Just call them working sessions and we'll just pick little things. And Chris, maybe you can join us too. And we can kind of like, you can be our like guide along the way. And we take little like baby steps of like, let's try things out and we make them working sessions.
Yeah, I will.
Um,
I will tell you, right? I'm not an ERP or accounting expert, so
we don't need
I
you to
learn a
be.
lot. Yeah, I learn a
The
lot from
experts are
you.
on here. The accounting and finance experts are here. We just need you to slow. We're going to go slow. So, and we're going to be the awkward ones.
Yeah, that's why I love learning from y'all. So it'll be great.
And we don't need a lot of aggressive planning on it. We're like the legacy version. How about that?
Love it.
So, look, I thank everyone. I thank you, Gabriel. I thank the NetSuite team. And like, we'll be like the release date people, like version 1, version 2, and we'll like plan it out over the course of the year. How about that?
Love it.
I love it. Happy holidays, everybody. I thank everyone for your time, interest. This was like version one. I say we do version two as a working session, and then we have at it and we just play. We use the chat, and then we just ask Gabriel, we need you to do this. Gabriel, we need you to show us that. And then we just play. How does that sound, everybody? Good? All right. You're going to join us again, maybe in 6 weeks' time. We'll get this on the calendar, and then we'll do this like, kind of lean in, we'll call it working session. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you again, Gabriel, for your patience, and thank everybody for making this a great year. I'll see everybody in 26. All right, rest up. Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
everyone.
All
Bye-bye.
right,
Thank you.
take care.
Bye-bye.